This video will cover section 10.1 in your textbook, which is just an overview of cellular respiration. 10.1, overview of cellular respiration. So the energy that you get for your body's functions, everyday functions, working out, so ones that are a little more than just everyday stuff, all comes from food. Right? And a calorie is the energy unit of food. We measure the amount of energy we get from food through calories. Now, a little review here for the midterm. There's 3 macromolecules, or 4 total, right? 4 macromolecules total. In terms of energy, fats or lipids have most calories / energy per gram. And then second would be carbohydrates. And then proteins. Carbohydrates and proteins are pretty close to each other, but lipids have the most calories, the most energy per gram, which is why foods that are very high in fat are more calories. So a hamburger, peanut butter, regular butter, they're high in calories because they have a lot of fat, and fat has more calories per gram. So cellular respiration that we're going to talk about is the process of the body breaking down food into chemical energy that the body can use. All right, so here's the net reaction of respiration. And this is really, really important. It'll be on your quiz Thursday. It'll be on your test. So you have 6 oxygen plus C6H12O6, which is glucose, gives you 6. I'll rewrite that. Gives you 6 CO2 plus 6 waters plus energy. That's the net reaction of respiration. Again, really, really, really important. So make sure you know that. If you don't get the numbers exactly right, that's fine. All I care about is you know what the reactants are and you know what the products are. If you don't remember C6H12O6 and you just know glucose is a reactant, that's totally fine too. But I just want you to know the products and I want you to know the reactants. Now, if you remember from the assignment you did introducing the photosynthesis chapter, the body stores short-term energy in the molecule ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So you have your nucleotide base or nitrogenous base over here. Here is your sugar. And then you have phosphate groups. So when I have 2 phosphate groups, that's ADP. If I add a phosphate group onto here, I now get ATP. When I have 3 phosphate groups, that means I'm storing energy. And when I lose one of those phosphate groups, when water comes in and takes off the phosphate, then I have ADP, and this releases energy. So energy is stored in ATP because it can be stored when you add the phosphate group, and it's released when you lose that phosphate group. So that's how the body is storing and releasing energy gained through cellular respiration. Right, so I've talked about cellular respiration, but what exactly is the definition of it? Right, cellular respiration is the conversion of energy from food into chemical energy the body can use. And importantly, it's in the presence of oxygen. Cellular respiration can't happen without oxygen. So respiration then is called an aerobic pathway. This equals oxygen. If you don't have oxygen, that's called anaerobic. So maybe some of you in a sport you play might have heard of doing a workout that tests your anaerobic threshold. Right? You're working so hard that a lot of your muscles need to create energy in an anaerobic way because they can't get oxygen quick enough. That would be anaerobic. But cellular respiration as a whole is aerobic. It requires oxygen. If you don't have oxygen, you suffocate and you die. Now, respiration overall has 3 stages. Today we're going to do stage 1 and 2, and then next time we'll go over the 3rd stage. So stage 1 is glycolysis. It means splitting sugar. Importantly, with glycolysis, there's no oxygen required for glycolysis. Right, the other steps will require it, but not glycolysis. We'll learn in a couple classes that fermentation is what happens when we don't have oxygen. Right, we can run glycolysis, then do fermentation, and that can continue without oxygen. Stage 2 is what's called the Krebs Cycle. That's what your book calls it, but it's also known as the citric acid cycle. Then step 3, it's a complicated word. Oxidative phosphorylation. But to break it down, oxidative, in the presence of oxygen. It requires oxygen. Phosphorylation, all that means is you add a phosphate group onto something. In this case, we'll add a phosphate group onto ADP to make it ATP. So that complicated two words there, that's all oxidative phosphorylation is. But that'll be next time. So today it'll be glycolysis and then the citric acid cycle.